Thinking about redoing your website or giving your brand an overhaul? Well, I just did, and it cost me $38,000 for a rebrand and a new website. So I am bringing you behind the scenes, breaking down the entire process, including the budget, and answering the big question, was it worth it? Hi, I'm Brittany McBean. I am a launch strategist and copywriter, and I run a small micro agency, and I wanted a brand new website for my business. So about 2 years ago, I embarked on that website and that entire journey. I thought it was going to be the functional equivalent of a TV makeover where like the Queer Eye team swooped in, made me beautiful, gave me a new haircut, gave me new clothes, redid my house, and then I was just left with this beautiful after photo. I do have a beautiful after, but my beautiful makeover took me 2 years, several service providers, and tens of thousands of dollars. Before I even start breaking down the process, it's really important to communicate why I chose to do a rebrand and when I did. So I started my business in 2019, and in 2020, I launched a new website. It was a Squarespace website. My husband knew how to use the platform, and I did a trade for my branding. And honestly, the website was the best I could do at the time. It was a DIY version. The branding did not match me at all. It was very like live, laugh, love, rising tide, pastels, and I'm not a pastel person. The photos were absolutely beautiful, but they were just kind of devoid of my personality. And the copy was my words, and I'm a copywriter. I needed to audition with my words. So that was the most important of the website to me, and that was the part that I could actually do. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a brand expert, a visual brand expert. I am a brand expert, and I'm not a photographer. So I needed help with that. And the first version of what I had was not representative of me, my brand, my work, my personality at all. As my business started to grow and we were working with a lot of big name clients with big contracts, I was really, really proud of the quality of work we were putting out. I just didn't feel like my previous website really represented the quality and the type of work that I was actually doing for my clients. But even more than that, I knew that I really wanted to grow the product side of my business. I had a program that I was launching, a group program for copywriters, and I knew that I wanted to offer some templates. Now we have a shortcut shop on the new website, but I felt like I needed a more elevated web presence if I was going to sell digital products at scale. But the most important reason that I redid my website is because I wanted to. I never felt like I had to. I never felt like I couldn't make money with my old website. And in fact, the process took a lot longer, over a year longer than I thought it would. So I kind of proved myself right because money kept coming in. We did over $500,000 in client work for the two and a half years that my other website was live. And multiple times on the sales call, my clients were mentioning my website and they were saying, I read your website and knew I had to work with you. It wasn't the branding, it wasn't the tech, it was the copy because that's what I do. So I can with confidence say I never needed to do a rebrand. I never needed my new website. I wanted to. It was the presence that I wanted to have in the online space. And lastly, I started this process in 2020 when I was flushed with cash. Like a lot of people in the online business bumped up. And quite frankly, I had more money than I knew what to do with. Saving it is always a good option, but I knew that the rebrand was something that I wanted and something that I really wanted to get to a place where I could comfortably do financially. And in 2020, I was at that place. Okay, the process was by no stretch of the imagination a straightforward or linear process, but it was a process. So around the winter of 2020, I was starting to feel really confident in my message, in who I was in the online space and how I showed up and the conversations I was having, both with other people in the online space, with my clients, just starting to feel like I knew where I fit in the space, but I had no idea what that looked like visually. I am not a designer. I am a very visual person, but I cannot translate an entire brand, a personal brand, into a visual design and a visual brand. I needed help with that. I had no idea what it looked like. So I needed to find someone who could really hear the words coming out of my mouth, hear how I was describing my brand, hear who I am and who I wanted to be in the space, and then put that into a visual brand. So initially I found a designer I was really, really excited to work with, and they are excellent at their craft at the top of their field. And I ended up initially doing a sales call with them and getting a proposal and signing a contract. So we're going to break down the whole budget. So I will include this in the budget, but we're just going to stay on the process now. And I got about 2 months into that process, and The project ended up falling through, and it was just a thing. It was just a fit thing, and they were kind of going in a different direction in their business. And the reality is the project just ended. So I did not end up with a website, and I had already made an initial investment. I had already picked a person that I was like, this is the person to get me. And now I had to go back to the drawing board. And I really didn't have another option in my mind when it came to a designer. So I went to my mentors, Rob and Kira of the Copywriter Club, and I was just like, who do you know? Who do you trust? They're weirdies with weird personalities and a lot of fun. And I knew that they would send me a really good recommendation. So they ended up putting me in touch with a woman who did their website. Her name is Shauna Hayter at We Are Branch, is her agency. And after the sales call, I was like, this is the person for me. Her process looked really amazing. She really had her shit together. I was really, really excited to work with her. The only difference between this designer and the other one was the other designer was the designer and developer. That proposal that I initially got included me having a fully installed website at the end of the project. Shauna is an incredible designer, but her process does not include development. So when I started working with Shauna, I knew that I also needed to add a developer onto the project. And to be honest, I didn't really have a budget. I was like, maybe this whole website thing will cost around $10,000. It costs what it costs. I want to get a new website. I don't recommend that mentality. So when I started working with Shauna at We Are Branch, I hired her for a full visual brand strategy, an entire rebrand, and the website design. So it was a big project. It wasn't just the website because I needed a brand and we needed to start at step one and really build up that brand from the bottom. The process with her was incredible. I think it initially was scoped out to be about a 6-month process with all of that, with all 3 of those. And it got extended, no fault of hers. I held it up in the editing process. And we added on a couple things, which I'm going to talk about, but it was an incredible experience. And it was the best feeling in the world having someone really hear you, not try to push back, not try to change your brand, but then say, this is what this looks like on paper. And the images she was sharing with me, the colors, the fonts, the way that she was describing my brand, that brand guide, that brand identity that she turned over before the website was just the best feeling in the world, to feel like I could never, ever, ever put my personality in design, but you did. And now I have that for my brand. Okay, so about halfway through that process, we knew that I would have to do a new photo shoot. That was a non-negotiable. And initially I was thinking, okay, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. I'm just gonna find a local photographer and, I'll find a high quality one that comes highly recommended, do a photo shoot. And the more I was thinking about it, the more I just could not stomach the idea of having a website that was full of like coffee shop brand photography. When you're like sitting at the desk with the coffee or sitting in the coffee shop or like, to me, those were beautiful images that didn't communicate personality. And I knew that the one thing my website had to have was a fuck ton of personality. And a lot of the websites that I was looking at and using for inspiration with people I've really admired, they had only used this one really incredible, talented art director to do a branded photo shoot. So I thought, guess I'm doing that. So adding that in also extended the process because that was a much longer process than like booking a photo shoot. It was an entirely creative directed shoot. It was quite a few weeks of planning, getting all the props, all the costumes, planning every single shoot down to a science, knowing exactly what was going where, matching it up with the copy, knowing what was going on what page, what the purpose of each image was, and then driving to DC, getting into a studio, having a hair and makeup artist get me ready. I was so spoiled. Having this world-class photographer take my images, having this woman art direct, it was the best experience. So Sarah Ashman was the art director who I hired for the photo shoot, and I could never have imagined the images we came up with. That was like one of like the peak experiences of my life. But that also extended it because we had to wait for the photos. We had to wait for the shoot to be planned, schedule the shoot, do the photos, do the multiple rounds of editing. It took a while. So that also extended the project that may not have initially been in the scope, but was also what needed to happen. I also hired a copywriter to help me write the copy. So Christina Torres is a fabulous copywriter, a great friend, and she offers these incredible VIP days. And I knew that I still wanted my hand in all of the copy. That's what I do. That's who I am. It's important to me that my copy is on my website for my copywriting business. But I also wanted someone with an outside perspective because you can't see the label inside the jar. So She took what I had written, made it like 10 times more incredible, and then I got to take it back and then also move things around and switch things up based on the direction we were going with the photo shoot. So Christina was a huge help, and just having her lens on my words and my brand was just an unbelievable experience. I felt so pampered, and hiring a copywriter is a great idea. You should do it. So after we did the brand strategy, the brand identity, the photo shoot, the copywriting, then we moved into design. And Shauna is incredible at her craft and takes it very seriously. And I'm also very picky. So there was quite a few rounds of edits and just being really diligent and nuanced with what we were doing. We were doing a lot of pages. Each page has a very specific purpose. She brought all of her ideas. I brought my ideas. It was a wonderful collaborative experience. And she created something that I never would have imagined in my mind ever. But the actual design process and the editing process was also an extended period of time. Okay, so after the design was ready, then we moved into development. And this was where I made a pretty big misstep. So my designer recommended people that she had worked with in the past, that she partnered with, and knew that they collaborated well, knew exactly how the process would go. But at that point, I was really starting to get sticker shock. My budget had gone just completely out the window, and the numbers were adding up. So I thought, okay, if there's anywhere to save money, it might be development. Not that development is not as important as everything else, but I thought if at the end of the day I get the same website, then I want to go with the person who can do the job, who's incredibly skilled at what they do, but may not be the highest price tag. So I ended up shopping around a little bit, not necessarily price shopping, finding someone who was recommended, but not necessarily going with the top tier that my designer had originally recommended. And that is one part that I would do over again. My developer is and was and is exceptional at what they do. I could never, ever build a website or even code an embedded form. Not me, not gonna happen. And because we didn't pay for that premium experience, there was a little lack of communication, miscommunications, delays in the process, a lot of things that we didn't know if we were handling or they were handling, a lot of parts of the process that we weren't sure were happening next. That project management just really wasn't there, even though the skill and the final deliverable was. It's hard to say if I would have spent more money, but I don't think that I will ever sacrifice the project management and the client experience again. And then after weeks and weeks, if not months of development, then it was actually time to launch, and we launched and broke everything. You have to shut down your old website, you have to make the other one live, and then you have to fix all of those broken links from those landing pages manually and ASAP. And we broke every landing page and every link possible. My team was like, "Hey, Brittany, I quit." Not really, but it was not the best week we've ever had. But the website launched and it was live, and it's live now, and it's beautiful, and I think I love it more than my own life. All right, time for the exciting part, the money breakdown. So the first designer, the one that I had the false start with, was $2,500. That paid for the time that they spent in meetings with me on the project. That was absolutely fair. That was what they deserve. They did give me a bit of a refund for money already spent, but not necessarily time spent with them. So more than happy to pay that, but it also was money that I kind of had to eat because it didn't come with a deliverable at the end of the day. The brand strategy, brand identity, and entire website design altogether was $13,000. The photo shoot, which covered the art director and all of the meetings and all of her brilliance, the hair and makeup artist, the studio, the photographer's assistant, that was $12,000. And I also had to buy outfits and props. I did return a lot of the outfits, kept the tags on, returned them, but I probably spent between $300 and $500 on that, but maybe got $200 back. So we'll say $300 on that. The copywriter for the VIP day, so it was a very truncated service, it was not a full copy project, was $3,000. And then the last thing was the development, and that was $7,000. So all in, the entire process, the entire rebrand, the new website cost me about $38,000. It's like a down payment on a house. Just saying that makes me sweaty. And at the same time, I want you to know how expensive that was. It was a very, very, very good investment. There will absolutely be ROI, but it was a lot of money. And I don't ever want you looking at my website and thinking, why can't I get that with the people I've hired when you've spent maybe $5,000, which is exactly where you are, right? Or like, hey, I'm ready for that tomorrow if maybe you don't have a budget like that. Could you get that exact website for a lower price point? I don't know. I honestly don't. I work with the people I worked with. They charge what they charge. They were experts in their field. I was thrilled to have their eyes, their talent, their beauty on my project, and I would hire them all over again. So if the question is, do you need a website? Well, it depends on what you do. If you're a copywriter, I would say yes, you need a place for your prospective clients to go to inquire or apply. You need a website that shows your beautiful face, displays your copy, maybe has an about section, shares your services and the price, and gives them a place to inquire. That could be a one-page website. You could go to Lead Pages and pay $27 a month and build it yourself and have that website. That is all you need to make money as a copywriter. I cannot emphasize enough how bad my last website was, and it made us, I honestly need to look at the exact number, but between $400,000 and $500,000 in client work alone. I'm not talking products, I'm not talking business revenue, in client work alone, most of whom mentioned my website as the reason that they wanted to hop on a call with me. So was it worth it? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Maybe. I don't know if I would be at a place in my business again where I would have that money to invest. I was pretty casual about the budget because it was over a long period of time. I could do it in installments. Again, my team was not very large. My expenses were not very large, but the influx of cash flow was. I'm at a point now where I have a much larger team, much larger responsibilities, more tech, more systems. The business margins are slightly smaller than they were before. So I don't know if I would be able to invest that again anytime in the near future. And I don't think I would be willing to sacrifice that website if I didn't have that final product that I am so proud to send people to. I don't know if I would have been willing to spend less. So hey, head on over to BrittanyMcBean.com, scroll around, let me know what you think. Let me know if you can find any typos. If you do, please email me so I can fix them. I don't think there are any, but take a look at the images and how they connect with the copy and the strategy behind the website and behind the flow of the pages and behind the customer journey, and glean what you can from that. But please know that is not what is required for you to succeed online, whether you sell courses, whether you write copy, whether you're a service provider, a support service provider, a team member, whatever it is that you do, that is totally and completely uncalled for. And it was for me. It was what I wanted to do. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that little bell. I think it's like down here somewhere so that you get the notification when the next video goes live, and leave me any questions you have in the comments. All right, bye.